All right, guys, I want to show you a tool that I think we all need to go out and investigate and research and determine that if it's something that you might need, and then go for it. So I'm challenging you today to research ProWritingAid. I'm going to speak from my own personal use as I'm editing the Hartwell Chronicles Teenage Exorcist, and I'm going to show you what happens to my scores before ProWritingAid and then after. So if that doesn't show a glaring Jennifer really needs this in her life experience or explanation, then I don't know what else can. So you're about to see. So yes, I did purchase the year plan. There is a free version. So I've already, went around pitching this, talking with students about the free version, but I needed the premium version. That way I would be able to put in larger amounts of word counts in my text. So here is my sample. This is from chapter 1, and I copied it and pasted it in. So the first thing that I always start with is the summary. Now, this is my copy on April the 30th of this year. This is prior to any edits. So last year I wrote the Hartwell Chronicles over the summer. It took me a few days to write it. Then I ran it through Grammarly and I left it alone. Okay, so it's just pretty much been sitting out on my computer hanging out. So on April the 30th, this is that actual version. So yes, it did have a Grammarly check before. Now I want you to see all of the yellows and reds. Glaring problems, all right? So it is going to highlight your problem areas, and I will show you specifically what some of those were for me. So then here I am now. So look at the difference here. Okay, this was 65 to 93. Love that green color. 59, 93. 80, 85, 57 to 100. Huge improvements here. Well, then I kept going back into my document going, what is the spelling problem? I don't understand. So I watched a video to try to figure out what was going on. And when I heard one of the creators of ProWritingAid say that they were only supporting English, I was like, okay, this makes sense. I have Spanish in chapter 1. So what I did is I removed the Spanish, and then I copied it into a new ProWritingAid editing tool document. And now you can see what happened. I went from 93 to 96 in my overall score. Okay, my grammar, then my spelling, and then my style. Now my grammar here, without it, I still went back and I was playing around with my grammar, and I found some more sentences, like even from my copy and paste. But my spelling went to 100. I was really looking at the 100 on the spelling. But my grammar, you see how it even improved from 87 to 93? Because I kept going back in and I just kept looking at sentences, and it really challenges me to improve my writing. So I want to show you my prior version one. So when you come here, when you click on style, style is very important for me. Like, do you see the passive verbs and the hidden verbs? I knew I had a problem. Another area is the sticky sentences that I had a lot of extraneous words. I also, if you look at pacing, I also like this button. So I have 10 slow pacing paragraphs found. That is a big no-no. I do not want the pace to be this way. I really want the roller coaster effect of my sentences. And I talked with you guys before on the podcast of the roller coaster, and I want you to see what I mean by the roller coaster. So imagine, see, all of this is that's just ooky. You see how bad that looks? They're too similar. And when you come here, I wanted to get a little better at my pacing. So if you come over to my new version, the one that I actually spent an hour and a half on just in this chapter, I'm only at one passive verb, and I needed that for dialogue. I wouldn't change it. I didn't change that. But look at this no emotion tails. Really like that option. If you come over here and you go back to style, I'm going to see if I had some, because I was really trying my best. I had one possible emotion tail here. Trying my best to learn this over the past year and improve. But many of the chapters that I've done, I have 0 emotion tails, which I'm really glad. And so when I look at my grammar, and it takes a second, like I tried to work this in Microsoft Word and I wasn't comfortable with it. I was using Grammarly in Microsoft Word as an extension, so I did get the ProWritingAid extension, but I like using it on the website. So while it's pulling it up, when you come up to the website, you go to Editing Tool, and it's going to open you up a new window that you will then do an open. You can upload or you can do new. I'm doing new, and I'm saving them by chapters. But it'll show me, like, it doesn't understand what hamburger patties, like he's saying I'm flipping patties at the establishment. That's one of his words. And so it's not picking that up. And like it's not saying would have. That would have been easier to blame. I might change it anyway. But like cyberbullying, see, that's a Grammarly. You see my Grammarly's working right now. It doesn't recognize cyberbullying. It didn't recognize it even in ProWritingAid. It showed it as a new word. But the overused words, so do you see where it says I need to remove one more? I really like that. And so I can go back in. I can still play around with this and still tighten this up even though I went through running it again. But I kind of want to keep like how the demon is speaking kind of in there. Readability. It's easy to read. It's 4.8. I'm good with that. I have chapters that range from 4.1, 4.8, 6.5. So I have a range. My readability should probably be 5th grade. Cliches, it's going to check them. I love this part, the redundancies. I was having a problem with redundancies. I talked about that this morning on the podcast. And this report summary shows that it's green now, but prior to, it was not. Like I would say, look down at the floor and, just redundant words, trust me, opened up and all of those kind of things. So sticky sentences. I went from sticky sentences. 21 sticky sentences to after edits, I went to 13. And I know that I should not, it says I should have 0 sticky sentences, and some of my chapters are better than others. But I want her to say, these spiders are all over the freaking place. Because that's just the dialogue. I'm noticing that my sticky sentences are where my people are speaking. And I can still maybe shorten them up. But, so right here, she was crying for having to leave. So what I could put here, she was crying for leaving Tyler. For a summer of stolen music. And most of all, for a sister who might not make it back. And that actually reads better. And so now I've got to go and take this one and put it right back into my manuscript, because that's what I've been doing. I have been taking a chapter out at a time and going that. I need to make a note that I need to fix that sentence, because I don't want to leave it and forget, because I'll get carried away. So I'm writing in my journal beside me that I need to fix the music stolen from her. So you guys are getting the sneak peek of the Hartwell Chronicles. Now, if I come back, hopefully, if I do the sticky sentences again, it still says I have 13. So let me see if it's still telling me that that sentence is just kind of like blah, and if there's maybe something that I need to fix on it. So it's still, now she was crying for leaving Tyler for a summer of stolen music. And so, and most of all, for a sister who might not make it back. I still think it's better than what I had before. It's still saying I'm a sticky sentence, so we can still shorten it up. I could say and most of all. I could take that out, but I really don't want to. I could have rearranged those, but I like it. So see, I'm the boss of YouTube, ProWritingAid. But do you see the average sentence length? So I really like, now I'm looking more of a roller coaster, in my opinion. I think it looks better after my edits. But here where it says more, the pacing, I had 9 problems. Now I have 4 problems. So now I have to find out, well, if this is a problem, how can I fix it? And that's just by looking at my sentences. I lost it. So that's looking at my, so where am I having my paragraph problems? That one's 1, 2, 3, 4. And you see how it's already highlighted here? And that's just because it's a super long sentence. I've played around with this sentence so much that, trust me, I have. I might take maybe this whole sentence out because I talk about this later. He already says it took an 8-hour trip. So that's just telling something twice. So I'm going to still work this one because I really know I've got a problem with that paragraph. But let's look at the other pacing issues I have. So, yeah, this was about them and their relationship, her and Abriana's relationship. So, I don't know. I know I need to fix the dad's paragraph. One about the dialogue that I liked. So it shows me what my tags are. So I can see, like, if I overuse the word, it's going to show. But it also picks up all of the places. So if you want to practice the dialogue, then you can just go to here and you can just quickly find it and just read only dialogue out, separate it. Something else I liked was the echoes. And I like this, all repeats and echoes, because I want to make sure that I'm not heavily reliant on particular words that are going to stand out to a reader on a page. And I like how it picks them out for me, because I don't know if any other writing tool is out there in the world that can do this, but I see, you see how it says I have 66 close repeats? So you see how summer is very close together and how mountains and woods. I do that one for effect, but if you go through, you might say model and runway. You see how it's telling me I probably should fix this. So the imaginary path of their living room on many nights, and that's fine. And would twirl and walk the imaginary path. And it's not, I'm not going to put that. And so it shows you some of the things, but then some of them I'm like, no, I don't want to fix that. And then she loved to model for her model stature. Like, I could work those. She loved to pose for her. And I could change this one. She loved to pose for her. Then I got to write that down. So I'm going to put pose for her instead of model. Anytime I'm making an error, because I'm making a video, I'm not going to keep going back and toggling between that and my Word document. But just know, do you see this mention and mention? Not to mention, not to point out dangerous. Her antics were on the fringes of bizarre. Maybe I could just even take out that, because I talk about how she's harming herself. So maybe just take that completely out. Doesn't really add anything to it. It's just kind of like extra words. Okay, they're turning. Her face turned. Okay, she turned her head. So I might have her do something here. Squatted. Because it would be like, instead of just turning her head, let's say she squatted and was able to balance herself unnaturally. Oh, I used the word unnaturally twice. You see, I'm going to use these same words, and I didn't even check it. She just squatted. With her hands, with her fingers spread wide, digging the carpet for balance. And then I can have a new sentence. Okay. And dug at the carpet for balance. Now that's even better than turned, because I didn't want to just say she turned and she turned. So I fixed that. Now I'm going to go and check my style again, because what if I messed up? Like, let's say I'm still not proficient yet, because I'm still learning, and that's not a passive because that's not the sentence that I fixed. And let's make sure my grammar was okay. It should have improved because I did make a couple of corrections and I took away a sentence that was just extraneous. So that did have a highlight in it. So I'm thinking that it's going to minimize the grammar. Maybe my score will go up. Yep, so now I'm down to 3 issues. But if you see the spelling issues, it's all my Spanish words. And then the grammar issues. So there's something there. Now if I go back to my summary, I'm going to see what happens. Just remember, this is the one with the Spanish still in it. The spelling is 100, style is 100. Let's see, by just taking out. So I got a grammar of a 91, whereas before I had a grammar of 87. So let's say without the Spanish in it, just to do like a final run through so I don't have to keep like toggling between these screens. I'm going to cancel. I'm going to move that. I'm going to come back and so all I've been doing is I have been scrolling down and I've been copying. Then I'm going to go all the way back up. And then I'm going to remove, paste, because I have made a lot of changes. Even though they're small, they're still a lot. And I'm just going to say the house down here. Then get here. Now let me just do a summary. And while it's doing that, you see this real time? That's as you're typing. That's kind of cool. The diction, I like this as well. And so these vague, it's going to pick up every like you write. And so this did help me. I still have a lot of vague words, but a lot of them is like, would, some, And I have removed quite a few of them. Remember, this one's the one that's fixed. So that's saying I still have a spelling issue, and it's abuela. So that's my Spanish word. And so now look at my overall score. Style's 100, spelling's 100, grammar is now a 93, and my overall score is a 98. And so even with that, with me just going in and removing the Spanish, I'm so much more confident about this chapter. And so as you can see, you see what I did? One sentence. I'm like, wait a minute, how did that do that? So I must have highlighted. Oh, I hit style. Summary. But if you look at this summary in comparison, you can tell that I really need tools like this in conjunction with Grammarly to help assist me. So there we go. There it is. So it went from 92 to 98, 91 to 93, then 85 to 100, and then 100 in style. So, and just imagine again, it went from 65 to 98, 59 to 93, and this was with Grammarly alone, 80 to 100, and 57 in the style to 100. So yes, if you ask me, I will tell you ProWritingAid is the way to go. I know it's going to help me. I wish I would have had this sooner. So I started at the later chapters, maybe, I don't know, maybe around chapter 17. And I went all the way up to chapter 24. And now I'm back into chapter 1. And I went all the way up to chapter 6. So as you can see, I'm still playing around with this because as I'm continuing to edit, I want my overall score to continue to improve. That just means I'm cleaning and polishing up my manuscript to where I can feel confident that it's going to be in the best shape for my reader. And if I would not have had this, guys, this is what I would have been putting out. And it's embarrassing. I'm sorry, but it is. I can't do this. I've got to get better. And I need to use the tools that are available for me. And the more that I do this, the more I am going to be able to catch my own errors and become a self-editor. I noticed a stark difference, and I'm going to tell you what happened. When I got to chapter 24, I've been using ProWritingAid just since pretty much, Thursday or Friday. I can go back and document it with my podcast, but it hasn't been long. And so last night, when I got to chapter 24, I did the cold read. I was changing things up, switching things, really having a clearer vision and an eye for what I needed to improve on without opening up ProWritingAid. And I could just feel everything making sense to me. Like it was clicking with me. Oh, I kind of didn't need to do that. I shouldn't have ended a sentence with that. Or, no, this is repetitive. I'm noticing this. No, that is a redundant statement. No, I got to take this phrase out. I started to notice those things. Then I fixed it on my own. Then I went into ProWritingAid with chapter 24, and I received greens in sections that I have not been receiving greens in prior. And I know that it's coming from the use of the tool. So I'm not going to just heavily rely on the tool and not pay attention to what it's trying to do. It's trying to make me a better writer. It's going to teach me what I need to do so I can tackle my work from the beginning in a strong way. So then when I get on here, instead of having a bunch of yellows and reds, maybe I'll have a bunch of yellows, and maybe I'll have some yellows mixed with greens. And then eventually we all want to be green and good to go from the get-go. And I only just have some little minor suggestions, right? Because the more that we practice in our writing, we're going to get better. We just know it. And so when I look at this screen, it gives me hope that I know that I can come from this and I can get myself to this. And one day I pray that I get myself to this state on my own. But I would still use ProWritingAid just to catch me, because sometimes we can fall back into our bad patterns or habits, or we're really tired when we're writing. Like with me, with full-time jobs, and I have full-time, and then I work and I have a family, and then I'm homeschooling. I'm working, I'm writing very exhausted, but I have a story to tell. So do not allow your voice to be impeded because you have a fear of your grammar or your style or spelling. Because ProWritingAid is right here for you to help you with all of this. Okay? And just continue to play around with the different functions and see some things that you can improve on and work on, and use the tool. And I challenge you to do so today. So thank you guys for always sticking by me and not judging me and saying, oh, wow, Jen, I'm so proud of you. Because you know what? We're doing this together, and we've got to support one another. And I needed you to see where I was and know that I have this desire to learn. I have this strong passion for wanting this writing life to be my full-time career. And I can't do that sitting still, and I can't do that staring at a blank page. So I have to get all of my content down, and then I have to go to tools like Grammarly. And now Grammarly just got married to the best woman ever. Okay, so this is the lady in the relationship, and it's called ProWritingAid. And she pretty much has all of the answers. And so I'm just so very thankful for this tool. And I just can't tell you enough, because every time I get those greens, and so I want to just raise my hand up to the sky and say, congratulations, you did it. But I couldn't have done it without ProWritingAid. So thank you to the creators of this and for the work that you've done to help writers like myself be able to confidently then go out and share the voice and the story that we have, but to help us do it in such a professional way that it will look like we did have a professional editor go over our work, and it'll save us thousands of dollars. My friend told me today that she knew someone like right now that it just paid $1,500 for an editor. I did some quotes. I got $900 as a quote. The quotes are high. And, I've had best-selling authors tell me, well, you're paying for that. You're paying for the good quality editors. Well, I'm telling you now, I was also told about ProWritingAid that editors are using this tool. And I understand why. I get it. I get why they're using it. And I'm going to be using it too. So I suggest that you try it with me. So what do you have to lose? All right, guys, y'all have a blessed one.